Miami at Florida State. Obviously a huge rivalry. It's Florida State has won 2 in a row in the series, including a 45-3 game last year. So rivalry implications, college football playoff implications for Florida State. You look at their schedule, it's Miami, North Alabama, and Florida. So 2 rivalry games, an FCS game, and they're already into the ACC championship game. So still a ton to play for here if you're Florida State. If you're Miami, a chance to salvage your season late here. 4-0 to start, 2-3 in their last 5. So a lot of storylines for both teams going into this game.
I don't want Tyler Van Dyke anywhere near the football if I'm a Miami fan. Unfortunately, Mario Cristobal has broken him. I don't know what happened. It's very strange. Florida State, on the other hand, to your point, like you said this earlier, like they have not been as healthy. They certainly have had some slow first halves this season where they've kind of, but then eventually they kind of figure it out. The point spread is very large to me. The 14-point spread seems like a lot here for a game that's a rivalry. If this game was in Miami, I might be interested in taking those 14 points and saying, all right, let's see what you can do at home, Miami, in a rivalry game that there's a lot of pride on the line, a lot of deeply rooted high school stories, right? With these kids. I just don't like, you got to convince me of what Miami is right now. Like last week was unacceptable.
Well, I think to your point on Tyler Van Dyke, there's a question of whether or not he's actually going to start here. Emory Williams may end up starting for Miami. Emory started against Clemson a few weeks ago. Does it make a difference?
Who won the game against Clemson?
Yeah,
Miami did.
Right. It does make a difference, but there were some questionable things for Clemson in that game. But putting that aside, I think, when you start looking at this game, some of the matchups, how could Miami win? Their defensive line's good. Ruben Bain, the freshman's having an outstanding year. They've had 30 sacks this season. Florida State's offensive line is solid. I think it's been a little inconsistent at times. Miami's offensive line's pretty good. Can they keep Jared Verse and all those guys away from Van Dyke or Emory Williams? I also think, Florida State's a receiving core. If they can limit, if Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson doesn't play, the task gets harder. Miami is prone to giving up big plays in the secondary. So that's why if you're Miami, you don't want Johnny Wilson, you don't want Keon Coleman to play. I think one of them probably plays, and that's probably why they held them out against Pitt, is to get them healthy for this stretch here. But that's the formula for Miami. They have turned the ball over 16 times in their last 5 games, no turnovers, win the line of scrimmage, don't give up big plays in the secondary, and better play out of your quarterback. That's a lot of ifs there if you're Miami.
I want to see Jordan Travis and Florida State play like a national champion sometime soon. Like, they've done it a few different times, but in a rivalry situation, I want to see, because like it's kind of weird to describe Florida State. Like it's not flustered, it's not lack of composure, but there's like this. It's like their offense is buffering.
Like, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you watch the offense and it's just like herky jerky a little bit. Like I want to see Jordan Travis just drop back and just drop bombs. Just be smooth, be confident, and play like a team that can win the national championship. Because right now they're in the race for it. And there just feels like these moments in the game where the offense kind of just hits these where they're buffering. I don't know what the right term is, but I just want to see a smooth, functional offense. Go out there, throw some make some big plays down the field, and put your foot on their throat, and just say, look, we're competing for a national championship here, Miami. You don't know when to take a knee. Like
32 plays for Florida State of 30 plus yards this season compared to 14 for Miami. So to your point, there's the big plays. I think there are 2 factors in what you were getting at for Florida State. Number one, the run game's been a little inconsistent at times. Like Trey Benson kind of needs to get going here, and also the injuries at receiver. So that may be to your point on buffering. They've had some guys in and out, but I think a complete performance against Miami would probably serve Florida State well, and just sort of the perception.
Well, and even against Clemson when they were all healthy, and I granted Clemson's a very good defensive team, but they were all healthy in that game, and they're still with these moments of just like it just there's like a little bit of off. I want to see Florida State put it all together, and it's about that time of year where you need to start putting it all together. So, and oh, by the way, could have a pretty hot Louisville team in the ACC championship game.